Hi guys, this is Johnny with Blacktop Performance, and now we're at the point of we're going to have to be taking off this high pressure AC line right here going into the evaporator. We're going to be disconnecting it up here at the firewall and replacing this line right here that runs all the way over to here. It has the Orifice Tube in it. I believe it's like right in here. So we're going to have to take off this bracket that holds the air filter housing. Basically you got two 13mm bolts here, and then you'll have two bolts on the bottom of your inner fender well. I believe this will be a bolt and that will be a bolt, should be 13mm as well. And that is in order to get access to the line, because it's got a coupler right behind this bolt. There'll be another where it connects right there, and we'll disconnect that line, replace this hard line up to there. And also we're having to remove that line, not only for the Orifice tube, which you definitely want to do, but that will allow us access to the inlet to the evaporator, and then we can flush that out. Because on the evaporator you're supposed to flush that out using the inlet and flush it all out of the outlet. And then we'll also be flushing all the AC lines out. We've got a brand new compressor, brand new line that we're replacing here now, brand new condenser, so you don't have to worry about flushing out the condenser, which on the modern vehicles, you know, it's pretty much impossible to flush out a condenser because the passageways are so narrow. It really doesn't work, so it's always best to just go buy a new condenser, especially when you had an issue like we had with a locked up compressor. Then you do not want to flush out the accumulator. Never flush that out. But we will be flushing all the AC lines that we're going to reuse and the evaporator. So we can get onto this bracket for the air filter housing, and then we'll have to go to the bottom, probably take off the inner fender well cover to access those bolts there. So let's get started. Alright, we got the easy part done. Now on the bottom, it's going to be a little harder. Two more bolts holding that in. And I'll bring you over here to show you what I mean. We're going to have to take off this inner cover. We got like little screws here holding it on, little bolts like this one, and there's gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so just to pull this down so we can access the two bolts over here. Alright boys, I wanted to bring you over here just to look. I've got these bolts off of here. And when you pull that down, I don't know, let me see if I can fix the camera where you can see better. There's two bolts, one right here for that bracket that holds the air filter in, and then there's another one right over here. I don't know if you can see that with the sunlight as it is, but you just take this down. It's got like these little bolts little 8mm holding it on your inner fender well. Pull that down, and then you can have access to those 2 bolts. So you take those off, then this bracket here can come right off, and that'll allow us more access to this line. Take it apart, replace a new one. So that's what I'm working on now. Alright, so I got the 2 13mm bolts off the bottom, and that allowed this to break free, and we can just take this out now, and then we can access that line in the back. Now in order to pull this line out, we're gonna have to disconnect it from like this spot here. You got these little clips here, and you just pull off and then pop that off, and you'll have one down here up front of the radiator, but that'll give us enough slack to where we can pull that out, and we're gonna have to disconnect it up there by the firewall where it goes into the evaporator. Alright, so this is the fuel line toolkit that you're gonna need. For the other lines it was a 3/4, so I'm gonna try that first. This one may be a little smaller, but let's go with the 3/4. If not, then it'll be the 5/8. And basically it just fits around the line itself, and then you slide it up into, and I'll show you back there. I'll zoom y'all in so you can get a good view. Alright, you got a little cap here. You just basically press back on the 2 little levers, and then this cap will come off. It's got these 2 little levers here. You just press back, and then it just pops right off. So I use channel locks, and then I'll press on the flange and try to get it tucked up in there a little bit. And that didn't work. The trick is to get it going in there a little bit, all around. What I'm actually going to try to do here is take it off right here, disconnect it there, and that'll give me a little less line to work with, so it'll be easier to just start wiggling that once I get my tool in there a little better. So move this. You'll get to see what I'm doing here a little better. So once you got that slid on there the best you can, take your channel locks and just take the flanges and squeeze them together a little bit. Just want to ever so slightly squeeze it in a little more. Coming now. Let's see if y'all can see that. Yeah. Alright, so there it is. Now this line is off from here. That'll give me a little more room to pull that out. Alright, so 1/2 is off. job is done. Woo-hoo. Yeah, boy. So these tools, very valuable, very valuable. They definitely paid for themselves. Alright, so now our line is out, off. And now we can flush that evaporator nice and proper. Then we can flush all the lines. And then we can start putting this puppy dog back together. So you can check out the other video with the 2004-2008 Dodge Ram 1500 4.7 complete AC R&R, and that is remove and replace, and get a bunch of tips and tricks to make your life easier, and we'll go from there. So let me get the flush kit set up and do all these lines and get ready to start putting this beast back together. So stay tuned.